In a scene that set social media ablaze, Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis were reportedly involved in a heated backstage altercation at a UFC event. While the UFC's camera crews weren't rolling, the tension between the two fighters was palpable. Many fans were left wondering whether this backstage exchange was just the tip of the iceberg for the rivalry brewing between these two middleweights. Fast forward to UFC 319, and the stakes have only grown higher as the two prepare for one of the most anticipated matchups in recent memory.
This is my hot take. If Chimaev cannot get him down, so let's say he does get him down, and he doesn't finish him, I think he's fit. Granted, he might be sick or whatever, but if he cannot figure it out within those first 2 rounds, I think DDP's gonna beat him.
Chimaev, known for his relentless pressure and explosive style, has captured the imagination of MMA fans around the world. But as he approaches what could be the biggest fight of his career, the question on everyone's lips is, can he maintain his frenetic pace over 5 rounds? Will Du Plessis' durability and toughness eventually win out, or will Chimaev's raw physicality be too much for the South African to handle?
Is Khamzat going to be able to take me down? Absolutely. Absolutely he'll be able to take me down. This is how a fight works. I would hope so. Isn't he like some Swedish champion or something? I would hope he could take me down. But then he has to deal with me on the ground, and he has to keep me there. Can I take Khamzat down? Absolutely. Am I going to take Khamzat down? Absolutely. I'm not scared of Khamzat wrestling. I'm not evading. I'm not trying to stay off the ground with Khamzat. That's the mistake everybody makes.
In a recent interview, Caio Baralho, a Brazilian middleweight who has shared training camps with Khamzat Chimaev, offered some fascinating insights into the mind of the undefeated Chechen fighter. Baralho raised eyebrows when he mentioned whispers of Chimaev potentially retiring if he wins at UFC 319 after claiming the middleweight title. According to Baralho, there are rumors floating around suggesting that a victorious Chimaev could walk away from the sport altogether.
Khamzat fighting against Dricus. Who do you think he wins?
I think Khamzat is gonna win because I don't see anyone preparing properly for Khamzat. They are bringing wrestlers to train them to defend takedowns and all that, but Khamzat doesn't do the normal stuff. Khamzat doesn't do wrestling. He does MMA wrestling. It's different. You need to understand his system, what he wants next. You need to understand this first, and then you start to prepare for him. And I think Khamzat is gonna win for me.
Former bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw, a veteran of high-stakes title fights, offered some insightful advice to Chimaev. Dillashaw emphasized the importance of pushing oneself to the absolute limit in training, a necessity for anyone preparing for a 5-round championship bout. He pointed out that while Chimaev's explosive talent is undeniable, his ability to maintain that level of intensity for the full 25 minutes would be the key to winning, especially against a fighter like Du Plessis. The South African is known for his durability and ability to weather storms, and Dillashaw suggested that Chimaev's pace might be harder to maintain as the rounds go on.
He goes for the kill, and you can only do that for so long. You have to train that section, right? So everyone's heart rate, right? You get into the red zone, you start producing lactic acid, you get tired. The only way to make that better is to be in that red zone for as long as possible and train to be there longer. Also get used to it mentally. If he can start training that, he should listen to Armin, because Armin's doing it with Sam Calavita now. It'd be awesome if we can get Chimaev up there as well too. He would have, I would put a lot more money on Chimaev if he trains the right way for his cardio. If he doesn't train his cardio the right way, I think it's gonna be hard for him to put DDP away, and DDP's gonna get him in the later rounds and gas him out. That's my prediction.
On the other hand, Michael Venom Page, who has been an analyst and competitor in the sport, offered a more optimistic view for Chimaev. He believes that the Chechen fighter's explosive athleticism and unpredictability could give him an edge, particularly in the early rounds. Chimaev's ability to quickly transition between striking and grappling could throw Du Plessis off guard, potentially allowing him to secure a finish before the fight goes the distance. However, Page also acknowledged the risk of Du Plessis' momentum and championship mentality taking over if the fight enters the later rounds.
I don't see anybody beating him.
I like Khamzat too. I think he's been really incredible.
Yeah, definitely. He looked better in the last fight. Obviously, it didn't last long, so we didn't get to see it, but normally he's like Crash Bandicoot the first round, and then his energy dips.
DDP has been interesting, though.
I feel like Dricus is very underrated for a belt holder here.
But that's the thing. If anybody was to, it would be Dricus, because that is the muscular endurance. If you look at like some of the fights nowadays, Mirab, Dricus, these guys that have the muscular endurance to be fighting at 7, the whole fight. And you got someone like Merab that's 7-8 from start to finish, mate. That's difficult to deal with. And Dricus seems exactly the same. He's like 7-8 the whole time. So if you don't kill him and get him out of there in that first round, second round, then you're gonna have a problem for the rest of the fight.
Ilia Topuria, a fighter who has trained with both Chimaev and Du Plessis, took a more balanced approach. He recognized Chimaev's aggressive style, but also noted that Du Plessis is far from an easy opponent. Topuria believes that this is one of the most intriguing matchups in recent memory, as both fighters have distinct strengths. While Chimaev's relentless offense will test Du Plessis' toughness, the South African's ability to absorb punishment and adapt as the fight progresses could be his key to success.
He's the man. He's a savage. He calls his shots. He finishes his opponents. When he goes inside the octagon, you know that that guy goes for the finish. He's not looking for the decision. That's why I respect Khamzat. He's a fucking beast. So he deserves to fight for the title as soon as possible. We're gonna have an amazing fight because I love Dricus Du Plessis. He's a great human being. I have a great relationship with him. I have a great relationship with Khamzat also. But as a fan of mixed martial arts, it's gonna be a very exciting fight. I hope the best man wins, and I wish best of the luck to both of them.
MMA analyst Ariel Helwani echoed these thoughts, suggesting that Chimaev would likely dominate early, but Du Plessis' chances increase as the fight drags on. He emphasized Du Plessis' ability to grind through tough moments and adjust his strategy as fights evolve. In Helwani's view, the longer the fight goes, the more the South African could take over. He pointed out that Du Plessis' endurance and mental toughness could prove to be the difference maker, especially if Chimaev starts to tire in the later rounds.
Now, which direction are you putting that now? Are you transferring that to DDP?
I think DDP figures it out. I think he takes him to deep water and he figures it out. And I think it's like a learning lesson for him and all this stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
Chael Sonnen, a figure known for his bold takes and controversial opinions, also weighed in on Chimaev's past health issues. Sonnen strongly defended Chimaev against the narrative that his previous fight withdrawals were a sign of fragility or weakness. He specifically pointed out that Chimaev's most significant withdrawal occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic, a time when he was critically ill. Sonnen argued that Chimaev should not be judged for that situation, as it was an extreme circumstance, and to use it against him in evaluating his current abilities would be unjust.
I feel like this rises the stock of Ivanov, who, by the way, after getting an incredible win over Adesanya, does deserve something. He did look like kind of the odd man out as the other 85-pounders were getting matched up, so I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, Dricus went a step further. Dricus took the post that says Ivanov will be backup fighter, and Dricus took that as an announcement that in Chicago later this year he will be defending his title against Ivanov because he believes that Chimaev, who has a history of pulling out of fights, is going to stick true to form and pull out of the fight. And by the way, that's a little bit of a false rumor. That whole idea that Chimaev has had to pull out of a bunch of fights, that really is a little bit of a false rumor. And I could break that down and you could show me your evidence, but I mean, come on. When the pandemic hit, Chimaev never thought he was going to fight again. He thought he was going to be one of the statistics. He was on a ventilator. He didn't believe he was ever going to leave that room. So that was the first of the fights that he had to pull out of. And I just share for you in extreme cases such as that. I don't know that 5 years later we stick around and use that to try to like pierce the veil of this guy's immaculate credibility. So
Bo Nickel, another rising star in the sport, offered his thoughts on Chimaev's grappling style. Nickel noted that Chimaev is part of a growing trend in MMA, where pressure-based grappling is becoming more effective. He explained that the constant pressure and control that Chimaev imposes on his opponents is a significant factor in his success, and this style would continue to be a major asset, especially against Du Plessis, who is known for his striking and stand-up game.
Just based on the styles, I just think the grappling style, you know, I might be biased. I'm definitely biased, but I think the grappling style is so hard to beat, and it's so hard to defend against. And I guess if you look at it from a analytical point of view, you have so many. It's really become the dominant force in the sport. You got Merab, you got Islam, you got Bilal, you got Khamzat. You even have, you can even look at Topuria. Obviously, people know he's more of a boxing style, and he does a lot more striking, but his background is wrestling. You know, he did that before anything else. And so it's really wrestlers that are dominating, grapplers that are dominating the sport right now. And so I think that I would give the edge to Khamzat.
Yoel Romero, a seasoned veteran with a wealth of experience in grappling and MMA at the highest level, also offered his take on Chimaev's grappling abilities. Romero praised Chimaev's Olympic-level wrestling and suggested that it would give him an advantage in the early stages of the fight. However, Romero warned that Du Plessis' toughness could make this a much tougher fight than many anticipate. Even someone as experienced as Romero admitted that Du Plessis could prove more durable and difficult to break than Chimaev might expect.
1640. 1640. Khamzat.
You have what, sorry? Who do you think? 60 Dricus?
16% for Chimaev. And 40% for Du Plessis. Yeah, that's a way.
So you think Chimaev? You're kind of slightly leaning towards Chimaev.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think?
Wrestling. The wrestling. The wrestling for Chimaev right now is very, very dangerous.
Kamaru Usman, a former UFC welterweight champion and someone who has shared the octagon with Chimaev, added another layer to the discussion. While Usman acknowledged Chimaev's dominant wrestling and top control, he raised concerns about how well that style would hold up against Du Plessis. Usman highlighted that Du Plessis is incredibly tough and has proven time and again that he can handle pressure. He stressed that Chimaev would have to maintain his pace for the entire 25 minutes, a challenging task against someone as resilient as Du Plessis.
Khamzat Chimaev on your back round one is not easy to get off. And then he was able to sink that in, and that goes to show how strong of the squeeze this freaking dude had.
Could he pull that same style against Dricus Du Plessis? Because I will say this.
1000%.
Darren Till, a fighter who has trained with Chimaev and faced Du Plessis, was more confident in Chimaev's ability to overpower Du Plessis. Till predicted that Chimaev's aggressive pace would overwhelm Du Plessis early, suggesting that the South African would not be able to handle Chimaev's intensity in the first 2 rounds. While acknowledging Du Plessis' toughness, Till believes that the explosive power and fast pace that Chimaev brings to the table would give him the edge, and that Du Plessis' best hope would be to drag the fight into the later rounds.
If I went back to the UFC now as the middleweight I could be, I'd fucking tear that Dricus' head off. Tell Dricus I said fuck him, by the way. The little fucking gobshite. Because I can't stand his guts because he's so shit, he's so good.
You think he beats Khamzat, your boy?
No, look, I'm with respect, I'm never going to look past Dricus because he trains hard, he's super dedicated, he's super strong, and he's got that awkward style that doesn't make any sense. I think Khamzat will beat him inside the 2 rounds, I really do believe that. But look, Khamzat knows, I was speaking to Khamzat on the FaceTime the other day because I'm meant to be going out to Dubai to help with the camp. Khamzat knows it's a tough fight, but, you know, Khamzat trains like a beast. I do think Khamzat gets it in 2 rounds done. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, you're looking svelte. You're looking great. How much are you weighing right now?
Everyone's been saying that, you know, that I'm looking fabulous.
Yeah, you are.
Ariel, let's just go. Do I look fabulous?
I think you look fabulous. The teeth are just like blinding me. I wish I was wearing sunglasses right now, but you're looking fit. Way fitter than the last time, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to show me another thing there. It was getting very low, the camera. It was weird. It was uncomfortable.
Whoa. Only my missus gets to see that. Don't be disrespectful.
Luke Rockhold, another fighter with experience at the highest level, shared a similar view to Till's but with some reservations. Rockhold agreed that Chimaev's early explosiveness would be a problem for Du Plessis, but he warned that if the fight reaches the later rounds, Du Plessis' superior conditioning and durability could come into play. He suggested that Chimaev's aggressive style could backfire if he tires out, giving Du Plessis the chance to take over.
It's not always about the most technical guy, you know, it's the guy who wants it more. And
how do you think he fares against Khamzat?
I think Khamzat is a go for broke kind of guy. Khamzat, if he can't out wrestle you, he can't control you in that fierce state of direction of what he does, you know, I think he'll break. Khamzat will get him if he'll get him, but if he can't get him, it's going to be a hard 3rd, 4th, and 5th round.
Right.
I think that's going to be all Dricus.
So if it goes into the championship rounds, you like the champ?
Yeah, 100%.
Who wins, Dricus Du Plessis or Khamzat Chimaev?
Dominic Cruz, a former bantamweight champion known for his analytical approach, pointed out another challenge for Chimaev. He highlighted Du Plessis' striking versatility, particularly his ability to switch stances and employ unorthodox movement. Cruz believes that Du Plessis' unpredictability could make it difficult for Chimaev to impose his usual game plan, especially if he struggles to get the takedowns. Chimaev's typical approach of closing the distance and forcing the fight to the ground might not be as effective against a fighter who can move and strike from different angles.
Dricus. Yes. Man, I actually really like Dricus right now, the way he's looking. Like I said in the Schmo interview, he doesn't really stay on the center line. His striking and the stance switch really supports him in the rest of the takedown defense. Yeah. Because as long as you don't sit right in front of a guy consistently, it's hard to get a hold of the legs and shoot on you. So he's also very big and strong, so I think he can challenge the strength of Chimaev in the first 2 rounds, which a lot of people haven't been able to rival. Just the strength alone has been too much, and I think Dricus is sturdy enough and big enough he can challenge it, but I will say I think it might be the toughest fight of his career so far.
Sean Strickland, having sparred with both fighters, confidently backed Du Plessis to win the fight. Strickland believes that Du Plessis will be able to neutralize Chimaev's wrestling and expose what he feels is an overrated aspect of Chimaev's game. He argued that if Du Plessis can keep the fight standing, he would have all the tools needed to win. Strickland emphasized that Du Plessis possesses the technical striking and toughness required to withstand Chimaev's pressure and ultimately secure a victory.
Do you think, he beats DDP, or do you think DDP retains?
It's hard. So those little Chechen fucks, I don't want to say Chechen, he's not Chechen, he's Swedish, but those little Chechen whore, they can grapple. And someone like me, who I've been training with these for years, I usually could counter wrestle and grapple them. So I just don't know if Dricus can be able to counter wrestle him.
Yeah.
But if he can, I think he wins all hands down, I've sparred.
Finally, Robert Whitaker, who has fought both Chimaev and Du Plessis, offered his perspective. While Whitaker acknowledged Chimaev's explosive style, he believed that Du Plessis' unconventional movement and strength could disrupt Chimaev's rhythm. Whitaker pointed out that Du Plessis presents a different kind of challenge compared to previous opponents like Strickland, who have more straightforward fighting styles. Whitaker suggested that Du Plessis could prove to be a tougher puzzle for Chimaev to solve, given his ability to move unpredictably and adjust as the fight progresses.
Khamzat against Dricus or Sean, do you think he'd be the favorite against either of them?
I think he just takes him down, and how he beat Usman, how he beat Joe Burns, I can see those sort of fights. I think he'd have more success with Strickland than Du Plessis. Because Du Plessis is a big dude. But ultimately, stopping that first takedown is so crazy. The way he shoots in that first shot is crazy. How do you stop that dude? Jump over him.
As the fight draws closer, many analysts and fighters remain divided on the outcome. For some, Chimaev's relentless style and raw power make him a clear favorite, while others see Du Plessis' durability, grit, and ability to adapt as the keys to victory. One thing is certain though, UFC 319 promises to be a spectacle, with Chimaev and Du Plessis set to collide in a battle that could define the future of the middleweight division.